source part of the plant which is being used. That will be the first challenge. Even if why I know this particular thing is because when we are making medicines, what we are trying to do is trying to compare pharmacopoeia already, comparing German, British and Indian. So what happens is 70% of the times the part used is same, but there are 30% of the time when the parts used is different, whereas the materia medica what you're referring is the same. And then when you come to the benefit, what I feel we're going to get is many pharmacopoeia do not define the test methodology. So this is really comes as a benefit that one country is sitting and trying to devise the test method, whereas the other pharmacopoeia has already defined the test method. Identification is there, but the test method is not there. So that will be really a great feature rather than everybody working separately, and coming out with test method, whereas some have already worked on it. Now here one challenge which is going to come is that many pharmacopoeia, the different pharmacopoeias have different physical parameters coming as a result. For example, pH total solids is different in HPUS, it is different in HPI, whereas the part use is the same, whereas the identification is the same. Then that comes a challenge, which is correct, which is not correct. But I think when we work on this, these solutions might become corrected. So I think it's a good idea, but intricate details.
In a way, you're confirming that pharmacopoeia is not low-hanging fruit. It's important, but it's not low-hanging fruit. So, what is the other low-hanging fruit where we should prioritize? Just maybe one more.
Can we start exchanging reference standards from the pharmacopoeias? Once we have reference standards from all, we can always sit and compare them.
So you're saying only information exchange, not harmonization?
Standards, starting from there.
So simply information exchange, no attempt to... So you were saying map the diversity, don't try to...
Information exchange first.
Okay, so mapping diversity could be a strategic priority, possibly. Yeah, thank you for that suggestion.
Couldn't we start also by the angle of the physicians? How can the products are the most useful? What are the minimum for a physician? Because there are different options. What is the minimum for a physician to live and work on the major the major use products, or the major pathology, or work by pathology and what is used in this pathology or this ATC class, and then worked with different type of harmonization, harmonize maybe the kind of indication in the line of pathology angle or in the line of global need. And second, trying to work with the volume of use. We have very toxic stocks that are hugely used, but also not toxic use that are hugely used. Couldn't we work on both? Because they are hugely largely used. It's up to also the practitioners to give a real highlight on what is needed for current practice.
Yeah, so based on the most used, and to start with the most used ones.
Yeah, yeah. It could be of interest because it's also an exposition to patient.
All right, Irene, one more comment, and then we're going to have to round up. I'm really sorry, but.
I wonder if I am not the only one here to have worked in both systems, the French system and the German systems. And so I was working with Willida at the beginning of my career. So I have this experience of these two incompatible systems at the first sight, but in fact there are they are not incompatible, and there are many bridges that you can find. So we could start with the identical ones and find bridges and harmonize these ones before to make a global and total harmonization. We could start with the most important ones, and the chemicals, and the tinctures made 1 to 10 and with dried material, dried plant material. These are the most easy to harmonize because they are made the same way.
Okay.
So there are solutions if we really want to go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Very brief, 1 minute comment, please, Helen, yes?
Just a short word. It's not possible to predict which kind of pathology are going to arise and which remedy we are going to need. Maybe the companies can have an idea of what they have sold the previous winter, for example, but we physicians, we cannot. I've got maybe a naive proposition, but if the remedies were free to be sold at least all around Europe, wouldn't it facilitate the access to the remedies? If we can buy, as a French, if I can buy a German remedy, an Austrian, an Italian, and Swiss remedy, and my patient can order, or I can order for my patient, wouldn't make things more easy?
Okay, I consider more as a question, not as a priority. Thank you. Okay, right, we're going to have to round up. We've run out of time. So I want to ask one question, and just is that in terms of this was the very first forum of its kind, and so one of the questions which Raja and myself would like to ask you, was this useful? Is this something that could or should be repeated? And if it should be repeated, in how many years? In 1 year, 2 years, 3 years? Just some very brief feedback on that, and then we're just going to sum up and round up the event.
Sir, I start with, I think, I've been in practice for 45 years. Now, today I realize that many of the things which I have been doing is not in correct perspective. So at least my next generation should not land up in this trouble. So we should evolve certain strategies of standardization of these medicines. Commonalities, harmonization, whatever it is absolutely necessary. And however frequent, we may not be able to meet like this in a bigger forum, but small groups, country groups or common groups, exchange ideas, at least what Dr. Manjanda has told, start with certain products, at least 10 products, 50 products. Start something, work upon that. At least timelines have to be fixed. Within 5 years, 10 years, we will complete this project. Let us go ahead. Because from all these discussions, what we realized is we were nowhere. We were where Dr. Henneman started. This is not the thing which we should pass on to the next generation. So this is something good beginning. Let us work up something, put some timelines, bring out some evidences. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyway, we have decided to send you one electronic survey because sometimes it's not possible to give your ideas and everything straight away at that point of time. In few days, you will get one electronic survey from our side. All those who have actively participated will be sending through email. So I request you to give your feedback at that point of time. Like, one of the things is, should we have such forum frequently? If so, how frequently? So it's just 1 or 2 people, if anybody can give, especially from industry side, I would like to know. Because ultimately, if those forums has to happen, has to be funded by someone. Every time government is not going to come and fund such forums. So we have to see whether industry is ready to contribute, maybe equitably, like this time, some equitable contribution has been done by industry. So we would like to know the feedback from the industry side, whether they would like to meet at any platform, if so, how frequently, and to discuss these kind of issues. And this time our discussion was more generic. From next time onward, it can be have little more specifics, and then we can have little more shorter groups working on certain specific problems homeopathy is facing. And some of the key problems we have not yet discussed, like the issue, like approach of FDA towards the homeopathic products in USA, and now our FDA, in spite of so many invitations, only few persons have turned up in this global meet, and so on, and so forth, and so on. It's everywhere. Some issues are there. Somewhere it is because of indifference, somewhere it is whether any other pharma lobby is funding some time of anti-homeopathic propaganda in the world, and if so, how to counter. These are the issues that we need to sometime discuss. In this forum, we have not discussed, though during the forum we were getting SMS and WhatsApp messages that this is happening, why Indian government is promoting homeopathy, this and that. Those types of messages are coming on our... So we have to be very strategic in thinking, at least. So I would like to know specific feedback from the industry, maybe from SBL, starting with.
Yes, so Dr. Hort?
After this.
You see, SBL is also the president of the Federation of Homeopathic Manufacturers of India, and it would be premature for me to say, give an answer to your query, because we have to discuss this among ourselves. So I'll get back to you.
Okay, so we'll wait from the formal. Any other industry would like to say?
Dr. Hort?
From my point of view, it was really a great idea and really an important idea, yeah, to have such also a global side, a global view to all these aspects. I've known these aspects now for long from the European side, yeah, from the European perspective. And we are seeing that the world is going on, and we have more transparency all over the world. And somebody said it. Homeopathy was from the very start a globalized therapy, and we lost it a little bit. Yeah, so I think there are a lot of aspects we can optimize, we can harmonize. There will remain some topics which is not so possible, so easy, but to discuss it in a range of 2 to 3 years, I think such a symposium is extremely helpful.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. So we have to follow Christian's idea that at least the dialogue should continue.
Any other comments from industry?
It has been a very good beginning, and we thank CCRH and the Ministry of Ayush for this. Yes, and in fact, in our view also, we have to start working on this aspect, and even if we move slowly, we should move ahead to resolve the issues which are there in front of us. So in future also, definitely, yeah, we would be supporting CCRH in this aspect.
Okay. Here from Lord. Yes, sir.
Hello.
Okay.
Well, I just try to speak loudly so that...
No, you can come forward, because it's everything of this conference is being recorded very meticulously by these 6 and 7 cameras working in different directions. So I hope that at the end of maybe after 15 days or 1 month, we will be having a good digital outcome of all the conferences. So anybody, even if you have contributed by saying few sentences, you will find those in those digital, in the digital format. So,
you see, this idea of having standardization of various pharmacopoeias, and for that matter, different practices, is extremely essential so far the manufacturer's perspective is concerned. Today we are talking about the globalized market. Now, there are 2 major issues in front of a manufacturer. One is following the pharmacopoeial issues. Second is the GMP practices. If the GMP practices may vary from country to country. If that can also be standardized, that's an ultimate objective. But if at least pharmacopoeial issues can be addressed, and we can have some standardized pharmacopoeia, then from manufacturer's point of view, to market their products globally will become much easier. So as a manufacturer, I will suggest that whatever work we can do, let's make a start. Maybe we do some success in 2 years, some success in 5 years, maybe over a period of time of 10 years, we succeed in standardization. But that will be extremely useful.
Thank you. Thank you. Now, before Dr. Khurana proposes vote of thanks, formal vote of thanks, just there is one dealer's perspective, just for 1 minute.
I am Dr. Sunil Ishi, representing homeopathic dealers of India. You know that we are very much behind several other systems as far as social recognition and standard in the society are concerned. This is because of the poor performance in our respective fields. A larger percentage of population approach homeopaths for a trial. If we fail to cater their expectation because of the poor quality of medicine or poor performance of doctors, they will leave us. Therefore, we should prove ourselves to be equipped with the better facilities in all respect. One thing, there is no professionalism in the field of homeopathic industry. Some deficiencies and lacunae still exist. So quality is the common denominator in everything we aspect for. Another point, even today people in general have misconceptions about homeopathy, and in the scenario of ignorance, it is the responsibility of everyone, including dealers, doctors, manufacturers, institutions, to teach and instruct people about its possibilities and greatness. Another thing, the threat to homeopathy cannot be underestimated. There are a lot of danger signals within and outside homeopathic system, and proper remedial measures, if not taken we will have to repel later. So we have to focus on names and in fact see it as a new challenge. And since homeopathy was originated in Germany, most of the drugs were proved during the period 1800 to 1855 under the cold climate of Germany. If you reprove the same drugs under Indian climates, everything will change, modalities will change, because drug proving depends on several factors. So, repertory is not the final code, materia medica is the final code. So, authenticity of symptoms recorded in materia medica can be re-established only by means of reproving of the drugs. I will be failing my duty if I don't say a special thank you coming from the depth of my heart to Dr. Manchand, CCRH Director General. Thank you.
Thank you. Now, after the vote of thanks, there will be just one group photograph with all of this. Oh yes, you would like to make last comment, okay?
Yeah, Dr. Manchanda, you asked about the industry perspective. First of all, excellent organized forum. This time, from my perspective, we focused more on an overview on various legislations, on regulatory practices. So I think for all participants, we got a very good general overview what happens all over the world. However, at the end, when we try to fix our strategic priorities or sort out what is not on priority, we see how difficult the process of harmonization is, because it was hard for us in the wrap-up to fix real priorities, and because we had these difficulties in fixing common priorities, I think it's good to have the event again, because we definitely have, even within the homeopathic community, doctors, industries, authorities need for further discussions. Since we had the helicopter view this time and more the general overview on various countries and all the topics, which was very good and helpful for the first time, perhaps it makes sense if we meet together another time, for example in 2 years, that we pick up more specific topics, and various topics have been raised today. It could be about a longer session about pharmacopoeias, it could be a longer session about safety evaluation, it could be a longer session about what is the appropriate quality for homeopathic remedies, or at the end of the day, because you also address the critics of homeopathy, what is required in order to counter these critics on the level of efficacy. So my conclusion is excellent event. Let's redo it perhaps in 2 years. Next time, move away from the general topics and more into specific topics. Once again, thank you very much.
Thank you for the appreciation.
So this is the end of this forum meet, and I thank especially all the participants first who have come along in such a long distances and contributing to success of this forum. Since this was the first ever effort from our side, and I think it has been very enlightening discussions, interactions, and contributions from all of you. And I think the presentations are highly focused, time-bound, and we discussed a lot of issues in these 2 days. And we could accommodate and have almost nearly 40 presentations around these 2 days. Thank you for designing this whole meet, Dr. Robert Van Haslin, Dr. Manchanda. We had a vision to take up this forward. Thank you. And special thanks to all the stakeholders, drug regulators, even from WHO. And the words are not enough to say thank you all, but I especially thank Ministry of Ayush, who has given permission to hold this meet from the government funds, and plus contributions from your side both. And kindly excuse us if any kind of inconvenience you have faced in escorting you from the airport and your stay here. Kindly pardon us. And special thanks to the ITDC and the small team who have been doing this since last 2-3 months. And so at last, I wish a happy and safe journey going back to your own destination. And tomorrow you'll be going to some kind of an excursion to have a good viewing at Taj Mahal, Jaipur, and whatever it is. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Let us meet for the photograph.
So the photograph over here? All right, so photograph and only smiles, please. So just anybody who wants